Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of September 13th to the 17th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So coming up for this week here, we have Reserve Bank of Australia, Governor Lau speaking. So Australia, RBA decided to hold the monetary policy as it was. They were supposed to make some changes in terms of interest rate hikes and stuff like that. They're not making any changes because of the Delta variant, and things are just in status quo at the moment. And so if everything stays the same, if they basically say the same thing, I would not expect much of a change as a result of the statement here for Australia. Now here, coming up here, we do have employment numbers here for UK, even though they're marked in yellow here. These are important numbers, so we do need to keep an eye on this. Just like the non-farm payroll numbers, these numbers will make a difference for British pound. So anything that is above expectations, especially the average earnings here, if the average earnings go up, that is a positive thing, and we're likely to see pound go up. Same thing with here with the employment numbers. So that's quite a bit of a change. Looks like we're going backwards here. So unemployment is increasing. If it increases, the applications go up here, that will be negative for the British pound. Same thing with the unemployment rate. It's expected to get better, but should that not be the case, if the employment rate declines, which means the unemployment rate goes up, then that will be a negative thing for the British pound. So we'll keep an eye on that. We also have speaker from Germany. That will be important here. CPI numbers here for the US. This is important. So core CPI numbers for the month. So right now, there is a lot of concern around inflation. Stuff has gone up. Everything has gone up. And a reason for that is because there's so much supply of money. All the governments have been pushing money into the economy. So when we have such a big, large supply of money, then the value of it goes down. And hence, we have seen everything cost more everywhere. It doesn't matter where we are. So keep that in mind. If the inflation numbers come in higher, especially if they come in much higher than expected, this would be a positive thing for the US dollar, because then everybody would be expecting the Fed to actually increase interest rates. So that's usually good for the currency. So expectations would be of increased rates, which is good for the currency. So any positive numbers will be positive for the US dollar. And then we also have consumer sentiment numbers here for Australia, retail sales numbers for China, CPI numbers here again for UK. So this will be important. Again, as we can see, the CPI numbers for the year are expected to be higher. This is towards a higher range. Most central banks like the inflation number, the CPI numbers for the year, to be around 2%, so 2 to 3%. So this is towards the higher end of the range. And this is where, if the number comes in higher, the speculation would be Bank of England will raise rates. So just keep that in mind. Any sort of higher inflation numbers will be positive for the currency, and we are likely to see the pound go up as a result of that. Same thing here, CPI numbers for Canada as well. Any numbers that are higher than the previous numbers here would be positive. And then we have manufacturing index. We do want the number to go up because that will be positive for the US dollar. Crude oil inventories, this will have an impact on Canadian dollar and oil price, of course. So anytime there's a buildup, that means they're adding to the inventories. That is negative for price of oil. And for Canadian dollar, anything they're taking oil out of the inventories, that will be a positive thing for oil and Canadian dollar. So we have GDP numbers here. This will be important for New Zealand. So right now decreasing a bit, so this can be expected because of the Delta variant. But if it the actual number comes in lower than this here, much lower, that will be a concern. And we're likely to see New Zealand dollar drop as a result. But I would expect it to come in where the expectations is close to it. But any sort of big change will push the price around. Also, we have employment numbers here. So this is where, because of the lockdowns in Australia, we are expecting drop in the employment numbers. So in this case, if the drop is bigger, that will mean there is concern. Any sort of numbers that come in higher here will be negative for Australian dollar. On Thursday, we have sales numbers here. We have ECB speaking, ECB President Lagarde speaking. Anything she says that is more keeping the monetary policy, if she talks about keeping it as it is, not raising rates, not cutting back on the asset purchases, asset purchase program, all of that would be anything maintaining the monetary policy is negative for the currency, for the euro. If they talk about raising rates, or even sometime in the future, they talk about raising rates, that will be positive for euro. Core retail sales numbers here, not looking that great. If they go up, that will be a positive thing here for the US. Other than that, we have retail sales numbers, CPI, core CPI numbers here for Eurozone, and consumer sentiment numbers. So a lot of news coming up, but nothing critical in terms of that will create high amount of volatility. All right, so let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. So in this case, let's take a look at a euro dollar. So euro dollar, we see that price has been trading sideways here in this bit of a range here between 1.19 and between 1.17, so 200 pip range here. Price went into the resistance, and this is where it dropped off of that top of that the range here. So now we do have a bearish candle close. So I'm expecting price to go towards the bottom of the range here. So bearish bias for euro dollar, looking at 1.1700. So bearish bias here, just looking for move within the range. Pound here, pound has been interesting. We see price has been trading sideways for this one here as well, but it could go higher. So watch out for that. It is into resistance. So over the last few weeks, price has struggled with the resistance level. It is currently at 1.3890 level, but we see a big rejection from the bottom. This is where last time we saw a similar setup, it did get stuck right into the resistance. So we'll watch out. This one can go in either direction, but right now, if it does go through resistance at 1.3, let's say 1.39, then we're looking for price to go all the way into the top of the range. Overall range that price has been trading in has been between 1.3985 and then 1.36. So that's the large range. And at this point, I'm looking for a retest of 1.39. If it goes through that, then 1.3980. So at this point, neutral bias, and we will watch this on the daily to see where it falls. But the resistance is what I'm watching at 1.39 at the moment. So neutral bias here for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar also turned around from the resistance here. This is our strong support resistance level. Price has struggled with this resistance all the way back in 2018 as well. And again, along the way, it has struggled with this one. So this is where price turned around from there. Same thing, looking for price to show us a range bound move, moving towards the middle and then lower part of the range here. First target is 0.7280 and then 0.7100. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this one is also into resistance, but the candle close is not as strong. So in this case, we do have a bearish candle close, and we will have to watch this one here. The resistance level at 1.0 0.7160. If it holds below, so I am looking for a retest of that. If it holds below, then we're looking for a move back into the range at 0.6990, potentially into 0.6800. But first, we will look to see how price reacts into the resistance. And if it holds below, target is 0.6990. So neutral to bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one has been quite choppy over the last little while. Price has been essentially been trading sideways here. We did see Canadian dollar struggled. Part of it was the oil price as well. So right now it is trading in a range, and we see a bullish candle close. So in this case, I'm looking for a retest of the high 1.2760 and then potentially into 1.2835. So at this point, this may happen though. So watch out at 1.2760. If it doesn't go through, we are back into the range once again. So right now, my bias is neutral to slightly bullish here, and we will monitor the resistance on our daily analysis. Europound, this one is stuck in a range at this point. As we can see, price was neutral last week, and then it did do a retest of the high. And now, as we can see, we have a nice bearish pin bar. So I'm looking for a drop here towards 0.8500 and potentially towards 0.8470. But overall, it has been trading in a range for quite some time. So just looking for it to go towards the lower part of the range now. So bearish bias for Europound. Euro Swiss franc, nice pin bar on this one. So I am looking for a bit of a pullback and then a drop. So we may get a pullback into 1.0870 and then looking for a drop. This one has also been trading in a range. This is more of the narrow range. This is the range it's been trading in. So looking for a retest of 1.0870 and then looking for a drop. First target is 1.08 and then 1.07, which is the bottom of the range. So bearish bias here for Euro Swiss franc as well. Okay, pound Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc still has bullishness in it. However, prices into resistance, but overall range actually extends a little bit higher. So we'll have to be careful with this one. Last week, pound was bullish. So this is where we need to be careful. So right now, neutral to slightly bullish bias. It can, if it goes through this resistance, I will look for 1.2815 as the target, and then potentially price looking for it to come back into the range here. Overall, it's been sideways right now. So looking for a range bound move, but potential retest of 1.2815. So neutral to slightly bullish bias here for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc, this one has also been range bound. At this point, nothing special about the candle. There is some bullishness. So it's a very similar candle to last week. So I'm looking for a retest of 0.9240. And if it doesn't go through, we are back into that range once again. So neutral to slightly bullish bias here for dollar Swiss franc. And first target is 0.9240. Pound yen here. Pound yen also trading in a range, a bit of a range here. At this point, the weekly candle close is neutral. So no real direction here from the weekly candle, but it could go higher. So keep that in mind. It could go all the way because the real true range is higher. So this is our range. Basically, it's been trading in between 153.30 and then 149.25. That's the range it's been trading in. But right now, it seems to be running into resistance right here at 152.68 level. So in this case, looking for a retest of that. And if it holds, then I will look for a drop. But keep in mind, it could go all the way into 153.30. So right now, neutral bias, and we will monitor this on the daily. Euro yen. So euro was not that strong last week, and we saw price drop here. Same thing, price was into resistance here, and couldn't go through. So bearish bias here. However, it has also been trading in a range. This is the range between 130 and 130.65 and 128.20. This is the range it's been trading in. So in this case, looking for a drop towards middle and the bottom of the range. First target is 129 and then 128.20. So bearish bias here within the range for Euro Yen. Dollar Yen, this one has also been trading in a range. Overall range is slightly wider between, we're looking at 110.80 and 109. However, there's a narrower range that it's been trading in over the last little bit here. So the narrower range is, so our narrower range is between 110.30 and 109.60. As we can see, there are lots of pins into the high, which means we could see a drop here, but it's been stuck here, hasn't really been able to come out. So we'll have to watch out. It could do another test, but then if it fails, we're looking for a move all the way into the bottom of the range. So right now, I'm neutral on this, looking for a retest of 110.30 and then fail. Once it fails, then we will look for a drop. So this is another one we'll monitor on the daily. Right now, no clear direction. It is neutral. Aussie Yen also bounced off of the resistance. So now we are looking for a move back lower here. So this was into support resistance level, couldn't go through. Nice bearish candle close. So first target is 79.70, and then this is likely to become a range bound, and second target is 78.30. So bearish bias here for Aussie Yen. New Zealand Yen, this is very similar to New Zealand dollar. As we can see, price is struggling with the resistance at this point. Now the candle close is not very strong, so this one could challenge the resistance once again, but if it fails, then we're looking for a drop back down towards 76. So right now, neutral to bearish bias, and we will keep an eye and see where it wants to land. CAD Yen, this one as well, has been trading a bit sideways here. This one, we have a nice bearish engulfing candle close in. So looking for a further drop, and target here would be 85.40. So bearish bias for CAD Yen. All right, so let's take a look at our silver here, commodity. So silver, nice bearish engulfing candle close here. So bearish bias. And in terms of our targets, we are looking at the first target is 23.35 back into the support here, then 22.80, and then 22. So bias is bearish. This was a nice strong resistance level here. We have very, very strong close Maribozu candle. So looking for drops, but watch out for a bit of a pullback before this goes back down. So bias here is bearish for silver, and target would be 22.30, 22.80. So 23.3, 22.8, and then 22. Gold as well, bearish close for the week, and it did pull back. So again, we have a bearish engulfing candle close. So this one has been trading sideways as well. A lot of the pairs have been trading sideways, and so has this. Now we have a bearish engulfing candle. So in this case, I'm looking for a bit of a pullback here, and then a drop back down towards 1756. So bearish bias for gold. Oil here, oil hasn't really done much over the last week. It's just been back and forth, very choppy. Right now, neutral bias, no clear direction. Last 2 weeks, it hasn't done much. Now, so this one we'll have to watch on the daily. It did reject the support, which means it could go towards the next level here at 71.75. But the problem is it is into resistance. So it doesn't have clear direction just yet. Overall, though, the near term was bullish here. However, it has to go through the resistance before we can follow through. So neutral bias for the time being. Copper shot up on Friday, and as a result, we have a bullish close. The problem, though, is it's right into resistance. This is a solid resistance, and this is also the upper side of the range this one has been trading in. So for now, bullish bias with caution, though. Should it go through, then next target would be 4.48 and potentially 4.59. Again, though, we will watch this because the most important thing for copper right now would be 4.42 level. So right now, I'm looking for a retest of the 4.42. But again, if it fails, we are back into the range once again. So neutral to slightly bullish bias, but we will monitor this closely. All right, Bitcoin has been struggling. So in terms of our coin right now, in terms of our price right now, this one's a little, this is Friday's price. So let me just see. So we're at 46,000 right now. The thing with the Bitcoin here, it has been holding below. So we had big spike up. And then buy the rumor, sell the news type of drop. Now it's holding below the $47,000. So if it continues to hold, we're looking for a move back down here towards 42,580. So right now, bearish bias and target would be 42,580. All right, our stock market finally. We have one bearish candle close, but it did do this previously as well. So take it with a grain of salt. Right now, bearish bias. And this is what I would look out for. Target would be 43.75. But like I said, it may just drop a bit and go turn around like it did previously. It has done this several times. So I will watch out for that, but bias is bearish based on the technicals here. Next target is 43.75. Nasdaq here, Nasdaq also had a bearish candle close for the week. So in this case, looking for a drop, a further drop towards 15,000. So that will be the target, and then we'll monitor it from there. But same thing, we'll have to keep a closer eye on this in our daily analysis. For the time being, bearish bias for Nasdaq as well. And Dow Jones as well. This one was struggling for a bit here. For the last few weeks, it struggled with this resistance and couldn't go through. So now we have a bearish engulfing candle. In this case, next target, what I will look for is a bit of a pullback and then a drop here. Target is 33,760. So bearish bias for Dow Jones as well. DAX as well. This one dropped. It is into support, so keep that in mind. Next target here is 15,270 and then 15,000. So this is bearish as well. With this one here, it's right into support, so bear that in mind. This is a strong support resistance level. Price has struggled many times with it, so it could do one of these and go back into the middle and the top of the range. So that's the caution, but overall, this is also bearish engulfing candle, so we could see a follow through on there. So bearish bias for DAX as well. FTSE has also shown a good sized decline here, which means we could see a continuation. The concern again is it's been getting stuck into the support at 69.85. So if it fails here, we could see a turnaround just like it did over here. But because it is similar candle here, I am looking for a retest of 69.20, which is the bottom of the range, and then a move back into the range. So right now, bearish candle close, bearish bias here. Target is 69.20 for our FTSE. And all right, last one here. This is the daily chart. This is Nikkei here. Nikkei has been very, very volatile, and it went right into our target, slightly past it. Now we do have a pin bar here, which means we could see a drop. So with Nikkei here, we have seen some wild moves, this big move up here, of course, and then another one that got filled. So this got filled, this got filled, this one here got filled, and this drop here got filled as well. So I would watch out. Basically with this, what we're looking for is, will this move get filled? This is an inefficient move, very sharp move to the upside. So I'm looking for a retest of 30,255. If it fails, we're looking for 29,800. So my bias is more to the downside here. So bearish bias, 29,800 is the target for Nikkei here. All right, so that's it. Any questions before we wrap it up? Okay. No questions, so we will wrap it up. You guys have a wonderful trading week. I will be back with the analysis daily one on Monday. Bye for now.